Ricardo Leyva Munoz Ramirez, known worldwide as Richard Ramirez, was born on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas. The son of Mexican immigrants, he was the youngest of 5 children. His father, Julian Ramirez, was a former police officer who worked for the United States Railroads. He was a violent and authoritarian man who frequently beat his children brutally. The home environment was unstable and aggressive, which would shape Richard's troubled mind from an early age. As a child, Ramirez suffered 2 serious brain injuries. The first occurred when he was just 2 years old, when he was struck in the head by a dresser. The second occurred at age 5, when he was knocked unconscious after being hit by a swing. After these accidents, he began to suffer frequent seizures. Modern neurology recognizes that head trauma in childhood can contribute to the development of personality disorders, impulsivity, and aggression, and Ramirez was no exception. At age 12, Richard began spending a lot of time with his cousin Miguel. Mike Ramirez, a Vietnam War veteran. Mike was deeply disturbed and enjoyed showing him photos of himself posing with dead Vietnamese women, some decapitated, with whom he claimed to have had sexual relations. He also taught Richard combat and torture techniques and introduced him to drugs like marijuana and LSD. In 1973, Mike murdered his own wife with a shot to the head right in front of Richard. Despite witnessing a murder, Ramirez received little psychological support and soon began exhibiting dangerous behavior: burglaries, thefts, excessive drug use, and a growing fascination with violence and Satanism. He dropped out of school in 9th grade and began living on the streets, using drugs, eating poorly, and increasingly delving into dark delusions. In the early 1980s, Richard moved to Los Angeles, where he began his career as a violent criminal. He broke into homes, initially for robberies, but gradually began committing sexual assaults and homicides. His signature act was pure terror. He broke into homes at night, often entering through unlocked windows or doors, and attacked with extreme brutality. Between 1984 and 1985, Ramirez committed a crime spree so violent and random that the media began calling him the Night Stalker. He attacked women, men, the elderly, and even children. Some victims were shot, others stabbed or beaten to death. In many cases, Ramirez raped the women and forced their husbands to watch before killing them. On other occasions, he asked his victims to swear their love to Satan before sparing their lives. Besides the cruelty, what was shocking was the chaos. There was no fixed pattern to his victims. He preyed on the rich, the poor, the young, the old, Hispanic, white, and Asian. What he sought was simply suffering. During the investigation, he left satanic signs at crime scenes, such as pentagrams, drawn on walls or bodies, and even shouted, "Hail Satan," during one of the attacks. He seemed determined to spread panic, fear, and confusion, and he succeeded. The city of Los Angeles was plunged into terror. People began locking doors, installing bars, sleeping with guns, and forming community watch groups. Police struggled to connect him to the cases, as the crime seemed completely random, until one of his victims survived and described his face clearly. On August 31, 1985, after killing at least 13 people and raping several others, Richard Ramirez's identity was publicly revealed. Police released his photo, and the image made headlines in the morning newspapers. The next day, he tried to escape, but was recognized by residents of East Los Angeles. He was beaten by residents until the police arrived. The monster had been captured. The trial of Richard Ramirez was one of the longest and most expensive in California history. It began in 1989 and was surrounded by controversy, delays, and sensationalism. In court, Ramirez displayed satanic symbols drawn on the palm of his hand, laughed during the victims' testimonies, and even declared coldly, looking into the cameras, "Evil exists. I am evil. I am the Night Stalker." He was convicted of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 rapes, and 14 home invasions. He received 19 death sentences. However, he never showed any remorse. While awaiting execution on death row at San Quentin prison, Ramirez became a near-cult figure for some receiving letters, gifts, and even marriage proposals. In 1996, he married Doreen Lyoy, a journalist who believed in his innocence. The marriage caused outrage among the victims' families, and over time, even the victims distanced themselves from him. Richard Ramirez spent nearly 24 years on death row, but his execution never took place. On June 7, 2013, he died at the age of 53 due to complications from lymphoma, liver failure, kidney failure, and liver problems caused by years of drug use and poor diet. He died slowly and frailly, behind bars without glory, without Satanic rituals, without reverence. Just another criminal forgotten in a solitary cell. To this day, the name Richard Ramirez sends chills down my spine. A killer without pattern, without empathy, without limits. A symbol of pure evil who operated under the cover of darkness, breaking into homes while the city slept. The Night Stalker remains, to this day, one of the most feared and disturbing killers in American history.